Welcome to Hashtag with Navguzi Chiwanuka. This is a place where we help you unravel social constructs, discuss self-development in line with mental health, emotional well-being, and everything in between that directly or indirectly affects us in the millennial world around us. If you're hearing my voice for the first time and are the kind of person who is not scared of being a better version of yourself even if it requires you to contradict who you were 24 hours ago, consider this your virtual home. I'm your host, Navguzi Chiwanuka, and I cannot wait to engage with you in the various conversations. For today's insightful conversation, Dr. Anicetus Cristian takes us on an exploration of mental health in Tanzania, and by the time this exploration comes to a stop, we shall have gotten insight into the cultural perspective of mental health in Tanzania, how art therapy works, and what role mental health practitioners play in ending violence against women and children. Before we delve into this episode, I would like to let you know that this specific conversation is in commemoration of the Global South Arts and Health Week. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Dr. Cristian, welcome to Hashtag with Navguzi Chiwanuka. I would have said both names, but the other one is, I'm not very sure. Correct me. Is it Anicetus?
Anicetus.
Perfect. Not so bad. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yes. I'm more honored. You're the first Tanzanian on the podcast. The very first one. You're opening the gates to Tanzania.
Okay.
I really didn't see myself entering Tanzania this soon. So thank you for saying yes.
I hope there will be more of Tanzanians in your podcast.
I hope
podcast.
I hope so.
The next episode here.
So for us to begin our conversation, could you please tell our listeners a bit about your background and what led you to your current role as a regional mental health services coordinator?
My name is Anicetus Cristian.
Mm-hmm.
I am a medical doctor, like you mentioned. I am also an occupational therapist. I do a lot of things. You mentioned coordinating mental health services in the region, but also I volunteer as a country director for Arts in Medicine program, or art they call it Arts in Health program, where we use different forms of art, helping people or patients who are hospitalized to help them recover quickly. So about a decade or more than a decade ago, I started my professional journey as an occupational therapist, where I worked with individuals with functional impairment due to their illnesses. At that time, we used to help these individuals or clients, if I must call them, regain their functional ability to take care of themselves, ability to earn their living as they were doing before their illness set on. So during that time, I met lots of people with mental health issues, and there were not much I could do because I was working in a public setup where occupational therapy at that time was not given so much attention, because not so many people knew about occupational therapy, regardless of the effort that we did. Seeing the problem or the challenge that I had, I thought, maybe I should do both. I should be an occupational therapist and a medical doctor at the same time. So I went back to school to do medicine. In my third year, I met a friend who introduced me into arts and medicine. So I applied to be a volunteer in the program, where I learned so much about arts in relation to medicine. And then I started the program in the country. After my school, I went back to my post, to the hospital that I was working previously. And because, given the background I had in occupational therapy and things I had seen, patients I had attended, it was easy for me to use art in people or patients with mental health conditions. So I started doing sessions, and it was working, and everybody could see the improvement that patients had. So I was recommended in the position of coordinator for mental health services. I started my journey from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I coordinate the services in 256 health facilities.
200?
Where we help 200, yes, and 56 health facilities.
One person?
To help them. No, not really. I am the regional mental health care services coordinator, but we also have, in each district, we have about 5 districts. Mm-hmm. In each district have a healthcare facility. So there's a person that is coordinating those services in the district. So yeah, I work with 5 people that coordinate services in those regions, in their regions. So I get all the reports, and then sometimes we do supportive supervision to see what is going down there, and help in terms of medication, if they need medication, if they need more workers, for whatever that they need, we do help them. But also I act as a link between the Ministry of Health in this area and the local government. I don't know how it works in your country, but here we have the ministry. The ministry oversees the healthcare services in the country. And then there's region where we have a regional health management team, which oversees the healthcare services in the region. And in those areas, we have different areas. There are those who coordinate maternal health, for example, and there are those who coordinate mental health like me, and other services.
We do have the mental health desk, I think.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called in the Ministry of Health. And I just learned about that last year, and I was like, wait, what? These guys are actually existing?
Yeah.
Can you give us an overview of the current state of mental health in Tanzania? I think when I was doing some research before, having this conversation with you, I realized that you guys in Swahili, there is a term for mental health, and I was like, that is interesting, because I don't think...
Afya, it's called Afya ya Akili.
Afya ya Akili.
Yes.
That is like health of the head?
Mental health.
But Akili is the head, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, not so bad.
Yeah.
What is the overview of the current state of mental health in Tanzania?
Well, according to WHO, the statistics, according to 2019 data from WHO, in the world, there's, in every 8 people, there's 1 person that has mental health issues. You know that, right?
Yeah.
But in Tanzania, in 100,000 people, there's 5 people who have committed suicide because of mental health problems. That's for the past 5 years. That's the data from the past 5 years.
Is that specifically the data run in Tanzania?
Yes. For the past 5 years. There haven't been any survey or research currently, but looking at what is happening in our community or in our society, lots of suicide, people are committing suicide, people are killing each other, there's gender-based violence, there's violence against children. Surely this should be an indicator that things are getting worse or have gone from bad to worse. But anyway, we need a survey or research to validate what is happening. Right.
In your current practice, are there specific mental health issues that are more prevalent in Tanzania?
Yes, depression comes as a number 1, and I think it's because of the economic hardship, also socioeconomic issues. People are depressed. We have lots of universities. people come out of university, they don't have a job, they don't have a direction, they are frustrated, stranded, they don't know what to do, then they fall into depression. There are issues about relationships. Nowadays what is happening in social media, which is positive and negative at the same time, depending on what you take from the social media. But then that is what is happening. So depression takes a big part of what is happening in mental health here in Tanzania, specifically here in my region.
That's Iringa?
That's Iringa. Giving an example of what has happened in this month. Just in this month, we've had 3 people who have committed suicide. 3. In this month. And 3. And 1 who attempted suicide. So that's a huge number in a month.
Right.
And those are the ones that we have information about.
Exactly, because I was going to say, what's the possibility that there are some that haven't been reported?
Yes. So we presume that there must be lots of people who are committing suicide out there, and we don't know about. So we have some initiatives that are in place to advocate or to address what is happening now. One of it is doing outreach programs and teaching people, educating them about mental health and the risks of mental health conditions, so that people can understand and know how to take care of themselves and not fall into depression, which leads into suicide. Yeah, and also we are planning to do we're planning to do a mental health documentary with the title The Voice Within, where people living with mental health conditions, they'll be talking about their situation, their challenges in accessing mental health care services, challenges living with mental health conditions in their community, and whether they are participating in community activities where they are given jobs or not. We'll be also talking to traditional healers to see if there's any role that they play helping reducing these conditions or increasing in any way.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
How, before we jump into the side of the traditional healers, how is the general perception of mental health in Tanzania culture?
Well, lots of people believe that mental health conditions are due to supernatural causes, witchcraft, demons. People with mental health conditions are cursed.
Cursed, okay.
Yes, and sometimes they believe it's God's punishment, that God is punishing them. Yeah, so that's a general perception of the community here. And most of people with mental illness or mental health conditions, they do go to traditional healers before they come to us. And then there's a huge number of people who go to traditional healers, herbalists, or in churches, compared to those that we attend here. We were doing a performance review just 2 days ago. Only 1% out of all the patients that we see here come for mental health conditions consultation. Only 1%. So that's a very small number.
When I saw the wording in Swahili, I had this imagination that perhaps Tanzania is doing a lot better than Uganda in as far as understanding mental health is concerned.
Unfortunately not, because all the African countries are in one way or another the same.
Right.
And mental health services are not given priority around the world, let alone African countries or African continent. So there are still lots to be done to help people with mental health conditions.
There's a lot to be done.
Yeah.
When you mentioned the part of the traditional healers and the herbalists, are there any cultural barriers that might be hindering individuals from seeking help when they need it?
Having mental health condition in most of tribes here, it's a sign of weakness. So people do not seek help. They might be struggling for a long time, but they won't seek help until it is late, until they cannot function, until they are causing disturbance in their families or in their community. That's when they are sent to the hospital or traditional healers.
And are there any factors, cultural, that might be influencing people to open more about mental health conditions?
It depends to which tradition, because we have lots of lots of tribes here. Mm-hmm. There are some tribes which encourage men to talk.
Wow.
Women to talk, so not men, women, but women to talk, because they have their groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, because men only act as a voice in the family. They are directors. They'll tell you what to do, what need to be done, and where, which is part of manhood, I would say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then women are recipients. They'll receive the directives from the manager, the man of the house, and they'll go do what the husband is asking them to do. So there are traditions where women come together in groups and talk about their own stuff.
And as a medical doctor who advocates for the importance of arts in facilitating healing and speeding up recovery for both patients and their caregivers, would you please paint for us a picture of how this really works? Because when you were talking about how some people witnessed how effective this is, I wanted to ask, are you an artist?
Unfortunately not.
How does this work?
I love art, but I'm not an artist. Mm-hmm. So research has lots of research have been done in art related to medicine. When you engage in art, whether actively or passively, there's that warmth, that inner feeling that you feel. Whether you are listening to music, or you are looking at the paint, or you are in the stadium watching soccer, or you are dancing, there's that positive feeling that you feel. That helps you to become and creates an environment body can heal itself. That's how it works.
I thought personally, it's embarrassing to call myself an artist because I don't practice, but I had various moments when I would be feeling bad and I would be like, let me try to draw something from my mind. And I would find myself very focused on it to a point that by the time I'm done, I feel like, wait, why was I sad again before? I don't remember very well. So I thought it's a thing for just the artists.
What you experienced is what is happening or do happen to people who observe art passively. You get focused into the art, then you forget everything at that moment.
Yeah.
You give the body time to rest, to rejuvenate or reconstruct.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. And then there's also this it's a science of it. It's called neuroplasticity.
I've heard of
neuroplasticity. Yeah, you've heard of it. Mm-hmm. Okay, neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to regenerate. There's a brain as a whole, but there are neurons, small cells that take information from one neuron to another, or process the information that you observe, touch, feel, and then translate and command the body to act on. So when you feel happy, you create more connections, more pathways of positivity, rather than creating those pathways of negativity. So you produce more chemicals that will help you process information better.
Makes sense.
And the brain will be able to heal, to command the body, to help the body heal itself.
All right.
Yeah.
So what I get from this is that there is no specific group that can get benefits from art, but rather every other person that might not be well.
Yes.
All right. And then when you spoke about the bit of art, I had you talking about music and then also going as far as sports. Are there specific techniques of art or activities that you have found to be more effective in aiding healing?
Well, that depends on type of clients or patients that we have at that moment. For example, children with burn injuries respond more in painting and drawing.
With burn injuries?
And also music. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we use art in children or patients with burn injury. So they respond well in painting, drawing. It helps them, stretch their arms, legs, depending which part of the body is burnt. And also forget about pain at that moment, because you are scared if you move, you feel pain.
Right.
But because of the activity that you're doing, instead of the injury that they have or the wound that they have from whatever, whether it is burn or anything else. So at that moment when you pay attention to what you're doing, whether in this case drawing, you forget about the pain and you allow the body to heal. You'll be stretching your arms, you'll be stretching your legs and different parts of the body that is burnt or has the injury, and help the body to heal itself. Yeah.
It's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
When you come to the role of mental health experts, I had to look you up recently and I noticed that you were an attendee at at the evaluation meeting of the 5-year action plan to end violence against women and children. What role do mental health practitioners play in the alleviation of these forms of violence?
Some of the violence are due to mental health conditions. People with mental health conditions, they might be the ones that commit violence because they cannot, they cannot regulate maybe their thoughts, emotions, and actions sometimes. So, think of the person who has been abused during their childhood and has grown to be an adult. There's a possibility that this person will do the same to other people. Yeah. So because of the trauma that this person has gone through, and then there's this part of this person that cannot control their emotions or their actions, or they see everybody as an enemy. So they'll be defending themselves every time. See, now this condition is called post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right. Because
of the past events, people cannot, I want to say fit in, but they don't get along with other people. And because of the past events, there's a chance that this person might be violent or commit violence to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you have brought up the part of you have related this experience of violence as a child to what impact it has to someone who grows into an adult. I have a specific uncle that I think about a lot, and I don't even know how to have this conversation with him because he believes he knows it all, but his mom, may she rest in peace, stepmother to my mother, deserted them and left them on the veranda. They watched their mother leaving. She swept the house clean, took the property, left all her kids on the veranda, and they watched him enter another man's car.
Wow.
I am now looking at my uncle, who does not say his age, but I think he is now in his 50s. He cannot have relationships with women. The first thing that he sees on a woman, he's looking for, what is it that you're going to steal from me? When it comes to accusations, he's saying, you stole something from me, you're robbing my company. And then, to be honest, in most cases, when I look at him, he cannot have a clear distinction between who is cheating him and who isn't. The ones that we see are really cheating him, he doesn't see them. He always goes for, in most cases, it's always the women first.
Yeah.
And when you look at his relationships as well, my friend.
I hear you.
And now it's extended to the kids as well, because now, hey, it's a lot.
They've been brought up that way, yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So, what specific services and support can be offered by the mental health professionals in that area?
The services depends on which type of violence that the victim has gone through. There are physical violence, emotional violence, sexual violence. But in general, we have psychotherapy. We do psychotherapy for the victim. There is counseling for the same victim and the relatives, because the victim might be in the process of healing, but then they might be pulled back by close relatives, reminding this person of what has happened to them.
Yeah.
So there's counseling. We do counseling to victims and also relatives, close relatives. We do cognitive behavioral therapy to help them become aware of who they are and distinguish between what has happened and who they are, and not let them define themselves because of what has happened to them. And we also do group therapy. We bring them together and lead them into talking about what has happened and plan for their future in general.
I like the fact that you've brought up the part of group therapy. It's something that I had to have a conversation with some psychologists. And how easy is it to have the group therapy sessions in Tanzania? How receptive is that community to the idea?
Generally, this is new. I must say it's new. It's not something that has been done, but we are trying. But, people like to keep their stuff private.
Right.
Having their stuff spoken in groups, you're not sure that the people who are there, they are part of the group, will keep the things that will be spoken in the group. So not so many people come into those groups, but we are getting there. And
kidogo, is that?
Kidogo, yeah, kidogo will get there. Kidogo.
I wanted to test my Swahili.
You're getting better. Keep that friend of yours.
When we get to talk about the importance of raising awareness, is there a possibility for us to effectively raise awareness while being culturally sensitive?
Yes, I think there is a possibility. People need to be informed of what is happening and how what is happening affects everybody else or somebody somewhere. Because sometimes it's lack of educational or information that people stay ignorant, or they hold on into their traditional culture, which negatively affect other people. So I believe if we reach out to people, listen to them, learn about their culture, learn what they believe, understand the cultural effect of your information to them, the impact, the information that you bring into this culture, and the effect that will lead into might help you filter some of the things or rephrase some of the sentences that you might use in certain areas.
Have you ever found yourself in a position where you had to be culturally sensitive?
Yes.
Can you give us a scenario?
Yes. So, it's not about mental health. It's something else. It's something different. So circumcision.
Yeah, exactly. I do. I do.
Yeah.
Because I was going to when I brought in the part of culture sensitivity and then also combining it with the part of GBV, the first thing that my mind ran straight to a book that I read about Ethiopian Civil War, but it had also covered the culture, environment in Somalia. And there was a disgust around women who are non-circumcised. But when you read about the circumcision of the women, it's crazy. You're like, are you kidding me? And then it's a very good thing that we're almost in the same line. So let's hear it.
Yeah. So there are parts of the regions here, people believe that when a man is circumcised, lose their manhood. They cannot perform the sexual act. So in those regions, people are not circumcised.
Region.
Yep. Not the region as region, but areas. Certain tribes believe if a man is circumcised, then loses their ability to perform the sexual act. So you want to go there to talk to them about circumcision to prevent HIV/AIDS transmission. See, it's not easy, and it wasn't easy, but slowly they understood and people started getting circumcised. But up to date, there are people who are not circumcised. Well, they still believe that this thing should not be done, and
it's not just in Tanzania.
It's not just where.
It's not just in Tanzania that. It's not just in Tanzania that they aren't circumcised. Oh wow!
Yeah.
Do you feel like there is something that you could have left out in this conversation that you feel like you should have talked about?
Yeah. It's about putting yourself out there to help other people. In volunteering into activities to help other people without expecting money back or payment. We are facing lots of challenges getting people to volunteer in our programs. So I wish people could understand that if you help a neighbor, you are helping yourself in another way. So we should go out there, volunteer in projects that help more than just you.
Yeah.
Let's help one another, people, because people are struggling with lots of things, which leads into mental health conditions or mental health challenges. So let's go out there, participate into art activities and to other volunteer activities to help each other without expecting anything. I must insist that.
You're really driven a lot by money. People are still asking me, so how are you going
how much are you going to pay me?
Oh yes. They're still asking me how much I'm paid.
I am doing your podcast. How much are you going to pay me?
Hey. And they're also asking me how much I'm making from the podcast, and I have no answer. Start making you doubt your call.
Yeah. But if we all do what you're doing, which I believe you're doing an amazing work.
Thank you so much.
Because let's shout out to mental health. No, not everybody's doing something else, not mental health. And then there's stigma around mental health. So shout out to you.
Oh, thank you.
Kudos.
Thank you so much.
You're doing a great job.
And then for any message to someone that may be struggling mentally, because when we close off this month, the Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, we shall be preparing ourselves for 10th October Mental Health Day.
Yeah.
What message would you love for us to walk away with for this month and that specific day?
Reach out to people. Don't confine yourself in the room. You're not alone. There are people who are going through the same thing that you're going through. and maybe even worse, reach out. There are services out there. There are people who are willing to help. Just reach out.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cristian.
Thank you so much. I had a good time.
You did. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us to the very end. And thank you, Dr. Cristian, for giving us your time to take us on this journey into Tanzania. If you loved this episode, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button in your podcast platform of choice. I just learned that Google Podcasts is going to close as of next year. And I'm like, why do these guys keep doing this? Stitcher left, now Google Podcast is leaving. There's going to be an option, so we shall be sure to announce what option will be rolling out in favor of Google. But before then, please subscribe wherever you're listening in from, and also feel free to share your insights about what connected with you on social media and tag us. We are at #time with Nabuzichwanka on Facebook and Instagram, and on X our handle is at HTNK Podcast, or you can use the hashtag HTNK in session. Ciao.